Hey, welcome to Legals and Biz with Riz, the podcast offering you business and legal tips without the boring legalese. I'm your host, Riz McDonald, and I'm here to answer your questions and offer general advice in the clearest way possible. So grab your beverage of choice, sit back, and get ready to build your empire with Find Legal. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Legals and Biz with Riz. I'm your host, Riz McDonald, and in this week's episode, we are discussing your obligations as an online biz owner. I love how easy it has become to set up an online store, and I'm all for hashtag startup life. I'm also constantly amazed by the new technologies making it easier to start businesses. It's so easy to set up shop, but it's also really easy to, shall we say, forget that setting up a business, even a solo biz run out of your spare bedroom, comes with obligations. And that brings me to the very point of this episode. If you're planning to set up an e-commerce business, it's important to take the time to understand the laws that apply to you. Knowing your obligations will help protect you and your business. It will also ensure you don't run into any detrimental roadblocks. So the first cab off the rank is Australian consumer law. Look, every business operating in Australia, e-commerce or otherwise, needs to comply with Australian consumer law, aka ACL, which is laid out in Schedule 2 of the Competition and Consumer Act 2010. The ACL is a single national law that applies to all Australian states and territories, so no silos here. It applies to all businesses, including small businesses and consumers, and is the principal consumer protection law in Australia. Under the ACL, consumers have a right to the same remedies and protections regardless of their location. That means Jane, who lives in the country and buys skincare from an online indie brand, has the same basic protections as Matilda, who only buys La Mer from David Jones. Both the indie brand and David Jones have the same business obligations and responsibilities. In other words, whether you run your business out of your bedroom or a major Westfield shopping centre, the same rules apply. Whatever you sell must fulfill certain criteria as set out in the ACL. This includes goods being fit for purpose, of merchantable quality, and free from defects even, or faults. The ACL and the Competition and Consumer Act is administered by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, and I recommend visiting their website and familiarising yourself with the content outlined in the Act. The other thing to be considering is fair trading laws. In addition to the all-encompassing ACL, there are also fair trading laws. Each state and territory has its own fair trading guidelines that you should make an effort to understand. Don't worry, I'll save you the extra clicks, and I've added the links to the fair trading acts relevant to each state and the websites of the entities that administer them in the show notes. Another thing to be mindful of is licenses and permits. What are you planning to sell on your e-commerce store? What and how you sell will directly impact your legal obligations and insurance considerations. Are you going to sell the next must-have beauty item? What about jeans that suit every booty? See what I did there? Or are you going to offer a service like copywriting or graphic design? Whatever it is, you want to be sure you have your ducks in a row. For licenses and permits, take a look at ABLIS, aka Australian Business Licence and Information Service, to learn about the licenses you may need for your business. For example, say you are planning to sell Bootylicious jeans online. Let's also say these jeans are made in Australia and sold online, but also sold in New South Wales specifically via pop-up shops and market stalls. There are two things you may need to consider: the Ethical Clothing Trades and Extended Responsibility Scheme, and obtaining licenses from relevant councils to run your pop-up stores. Now, the other thing to be mindful of is privacy. If you're going to be collecting, storing, and using personal information, you are legally required to have a privacy policy on your website. An e-commerce privacy policy is just as important as website terms and conditions. Don't worry, we have a super easy to use privacy policy template for download. Links in the show notes. Spam. Look, we all hate spam, right? And for good reason. It's illegal. Under the Spam Act 2003, it is illegal to send unsolicited commercial electronic messages. This includes email and SMS. When you sign customers up to any promotional activity, you must ensure you have their consent and give them a clear way to opt out of receiving messages. have a look at the Australian Communications and Media Authority for more information about spam. Not the food, just in case that wasn't clear by now. Now, another thing to be mindful of is security. E-commerce stores have an obligation to protect the data they collect. Think about it. You're handling a lot of sensitive information, names, addresses, credit card details. Yikes. You want to be sure this information is safe from hackers. So it's your duty to tell customers how you go about protecting their data. Protection can include things like having the appropriate SSL certificates and encrypted data. E-commerce sites like Shopify take security very seriously, and so it's worth checking out how they help you keep data safe, including your own. And so, friends, there you have it, a basic rundown of your obligations as an e-commerce business owner. It's a lot to take in, I know. You can claim a free call with a member of the Find Legal team to learn more about setting up an e-commerce store legally and your responsibilities as an e-commerce business owner. We are friendly and always here to help. We promise. Well, that's it for this episode of Legals and Biz with Riz. As always, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, raise a glass and show us some love by subscribing. And if you're feeling extra jazzed, we'd love a little review. If there are any topics you'd like to hear about, shoot us a message and we'll get on it. Till next time, this is Riz of Find Legal signing off.